Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. An expert panel weighed in on the economic impact of the unfolding COVID-19 pandemic. The panelists also weighed in on announcements by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance Allen Chastanet on Sunday night. Accountant Richard Peterkin has acknowledged that Prime Minister Allen Chastanet did not make many new announcements as it relates to COVID-19 protocols, but says what he did announce was very welcomed.
The good news, of course, was that things seem to be going well on the virus front, and they're doing a great job, handling that. So I think he was now getting into some of the other issues regarding the economy, and he touched on certain hot-button issues like, the salaries for civil servants, and the phased reopening of the economy, and the fact that, it'll take a little while. Plus, he gave some indication of, government finances and the difficulties there. So there will be stuff in there. People will be glad to see that now certain things like, I think, barbers and hairdressers might now be open, and they've been calling for that for some time.
Yes.
And I'll let others give their comments. My only disappointment is the fact that he did not relax the liquor license provisions, which would have allowed me to buy more bottles of wine.
The executive director of the St. Lucia Manufacturers Association, Paula James, welcomed the announcement by the Prime Minister that more commercial entities could reopen their doors.
The fact that more sectors are beginning to open up a bit, I am happy to see some of that. I just want them to ensure that the protocols that need to be established are maintained, because that will still keep us with the social distancing and a lot safer. But I think the more businesses you can open as the time progresses, it will start the circulation of income. And I think this is what the government is really looking for, because taxes right now is almost zero for them as collection.
Chief Economist in the Ministry of Finance, Janae Leon, says there is no denying or ignoring the economic fallout of COVID-19, but he assures that assistance is being sought by the government to stabilize the economy and encourage growth moving forward.
I think what the Department of Finance and the government of St. Lucia would like the public to know is that the different agencies of government are working towards ensuring that a lot of the issues that we face in terms of the reduced revenues and whatnot, we are working with our development partners, whether it be the IMF, whether it be the ECCB, whether it be the Caribbean Development Bank, to lend their support to the government. The banking sector as well has been gracious in lending some of their support. And we will continue to work with those actors to get us out of this and to also rebound and come back stronger, as some persons are saying.
Peterkin highlighted that according to an ECLAC report, the COVID-19 pandemic will herald the worst economic contraction in the history of Latin America and the Caribbean, with a projected 5.3% drop in activity this year. Governments, he says, will have to contend with that reality by making very astute decisions. According to veteran journalist Earl Bousquet, the average viewer would have found nothing earth-shattering in Prime Minister Allen Chastanet's address to the nation on Sunday. Bousquet says frequent statements seem to spread information so thin that nothing can be regarded as a revelation.
Having tuned in to Prime Minister Allen Chastanet's most recent addresses, journalist Earl Bousquet has noted somewhat of a pattern in the dissemination of updates in the context of COVID-19 and its various impacts. Bousquet says in the case of the April 26th address, persons who have been tuning in regularly would notice that little new information has been released. However, several topics were explored with greater detail.
The general impression is that the Prime Minister's address last night did not contain any earth-shattering or mind-blowing revelations, but every interview, every press conference has things that can be taken away depending on what you're looking for.
Bousquet believes this approach may have been taken to ensure that equal opportunity is given to persons with different levels of understanding and viewing frequency to stay informed on the current situation. He believes that this is integral as a crisis of such magnitude has neared the attention of the entire populace.
The constituents of all 17 constituencies will be listening to their members of parliament to hear what they are doing or saying with regard to not just the national fight against COVID, but what they are doing to halt the community spread of COVID.
Bousquet went on to commend the progressively cautious approach being taken by some governments, but he warned that the island's feat of 0 active cases is still no time to beat one's chest.
But the fact that we have not had an increase in the number of cases, not had an increase in the number of not having had anybody having died, and St. Lucia having had and still having among the best statistical proof that we are in good stead or in better stead than other countries in the fight against COVID is something that we have to be, like New Zealand, cautiously optimistic about. We mustn't go beating our chest like I heard some members of Parliament doing at the last sitting of Parliament. COVID is not a competition.
Bousquet eagerly awaits the budget as it nears its final due date. He says the government will either rally the support or tarnish the respect of the people upon announcing their plan for the use of monies in the coming months. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacka Wooding.
Chief Education Officer Fiona Meyer has lauded the efforts of teachers, parents, students, and all other stakeholders working to ensure that the virtual third term can meet the objective of ensuring continuity with the educational instruction of students on island. She says a multi-pronged approach is needed to reach every child. Online classes, WhatsApp group learning, Google classes are all part of the new normal for students across the island. It has been a challenge for some, and there is concern that every child is not being reached due to the socio-economic status of their family and the resulting lack of access to technology. Chief Education Officer Dr. Fiona Meyer says every effort is being made to be flexible and to ensure that no child is left behind.
We must reinforce that this is a multifaceted approach. We appreciate that virtual learning will become even more significant, and a lot has been done to encourage its use, but that we must look at paper-based instruction. That's happening in many of our schools. We have to look to the radio stations, which already have started, and likewise our teletutorials, to ensure that all of our students are reached and that they do get instruction as well as engagement.
She lauded the work of teachers and encouraged them to remain steadfast in this effort.
We note many of our teachers have gone, and as I've said previously, they've inspired me. They have gone above and beyond. They are working, and our parents meet me and they say to me, Mrs. Meyer, this is what has happened. This is the kind of feedback I've gotten from my teachers. So we want to say to them, our administrators, keep up the good work. We've only just begun. So we don't want to start with a bang and then slow down, but we want to make sure that whatever happens is consistent and that instruction remains our primary objective, which is what our responsibility is.
She also had some practical advice for parents.
We appreciate that these are uncertain times. We appreciate these are emotionally charged times. Lots of families are going through various things. And so we tell our parents, be calm with your child. It is not necessarily only about the academics that we want you to focus. We want you to really take time to listen to your child, to be with your child, to not put unnecessary pressure in terms of finishing up worksheets, but to really listen to them. Support them, be consistent, do the work, get the feedback to the teachers. But really, really important is to find a spot where our students feel loved, they feel valued, they feel emotionally attached to their families.
Meyer says a new range of online training will soon take place for teachers. She encouraged educators to support each other and learn from each other. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. We'll be right back.